All right, back at it. Last video just gave an explanation, kind of like where we're at, just a quick update with everything, or really quick. I think it would take like hours to go through everything, but now we're actually gonna write some code. So it's been a bit. Although like maybe you've noticed, like I've been I've been putting out some content, a little outside of this project, but I've also been putting out content that's still related to this project, but like kind of its own videos, like the App Store videos and stuff, getting like Serverpod working on Heroku, like these kind of things. But they're all part of this project, guys. Like the stuff that we need to have. So I have been doing I have been doing it, but it's been a little bit different. Like it's not been necessarily writing code. It's been a little more configuration, working with third-party services. We did like the environment variable stuff recently. I don't know, but yeah, we're actually going to continue working on the app. I really want to get this social thing out of the way because I think once this is out of the way, it's like boom, like now we can actually like you know I don't know, like there's not too much more to do after that. It's kind of like now connecting the dots because the thing about the social layer is Explore is going to have, like every venue is going to have like a feed of posts. So any event is going to have a feed of posts, and also like feed posts can live on their own. They can kind of be like connected to any of these things. They're also can be on people's profiles. So this really like touches everything. And part of me wanted to build this part first, but I realized like, oh no, we kind of need the other things first because if we look at the model, if we look at our post model, it actually relies on a venue and event. Now we could have, skipped those for now, but anyways, let's get into it. So here's our post, and I forget where the heck we left off, but I think we have an ability to create a post, or at least, okay, yes, I can tell by what just happened. I know what is happening here. So we have, let's just step through this. I'm gonna try to remember everything. We've created the endpoint to create a post, which is following the same principles as before. We make sure the user exists. We find that user. If we can't find it, we go, they're not known, we return. Then we just do sort of a check, like if there is not a post ID, or if it's not null, I mean, we update it because you're like saving an existing thing. Otherwise, we insert it. So we've got that working. And then I believe on the front end in our post root screen, is that what it is? Post root screen. Let me try and get the sizing a bit better here. Yes, we're just creating a post in code without a form. Because we kind of wanted, I like to do the list stuff first and retrieve, like kind of like get that out of the way. It's really much more fun than making a form, to be honest. Yeah, we needed one in our database to begin, so we just kind of hard coded it here. This is my body. We could make more, but this will be fine. So now we definitely have stuff in our database. So let's get our list endpoints and stuff working. So this will be a future. I don't think we have this model yet. Let's go to our models. We have post, but we don't have post list. So I'm going to copy event list because it's kind of the same thing. This is actually something that I tried for like long before this series. I tried for many, many hours to make this list model something that can be like a generic. So you can use any model with it, but like at least at the time, like Serverpod with generics and generating was just not a thing. So I just decided, whatever, we can just make post list.spy.yaml. We copy it, we just call it post list, and the difference is it's going to be a list of posts, and we save that. And let's stop our server. It's been a while, guys. Serverpod generate. That sounds right. Now this doesn't have a database table, so we don't have to like run any migrations or anything, which is nice. But ultimately, this is going to return a post list once that finishes going. And I think we just call it list. We want a session, and then I think it was like int page equals 1, and I think int limit equals 10. It's async, and we put a comma here. Okay, then let's just actually open up our venue list endpoint. Oops, venue endpoint, sorry. So we have our list. Okay, yeah, we do need to get the count first. So let's just copy and paste that. A lot of copy and pasting, guys. So we need to take our post. So we're going to get our count there. And then we get our results. So results. When I'm copying and pasting stuff, I like to just do it in chunks because it's really easy just to like be like, I'm copying it all, and then you forget something. So that's just kind of what I like to do. Then we have this post db define session include. We'll come back to the include. I'm just going to comment it out. And then we're just going to return a post list with that count, limit, results. We'll come back to that in a second. All that looks good. Okay, so our include helpers, we actually are going to want one called post include. And we're going to create a method called post include. It's a fun thing you can do, even from another file. Just a command period, and then, or probably control period on Windows, and it'll actually create that method for us. Cool. Now we have to decorate it with all the stuff that we want, but what is this going to do again? The venue include, yeah, it needs to return, well, let's just see. The include should be a post include. So post include, and we pass in a post of post, I think is how this works. So post include, and now we need to, oh wait, what do you pass in? Maybe nothing gets passed in. Hang on. Oh yeah, nothing gets passed in. My bad. It's been a while. So now we want to do return post.include, and what do we want to include? We want to include, I think, do we have, oh, tags. I know I'm doing something a little bit differently here. Because in our post.spy, instead of doing it like previously, we were kind of doing it this way, where we actually had this, but this way we're doing an ID. I feel like we need, there's something missing here. Let me look that up real quick. Reference, database, relations. This would be a one-to-many, I think. So there's our fields. But I want to see, we started doing it the other way for some reason. Field string, company ID relation, name equals that, parent equals that. Okay. How do I... Yeah, so or through a foreign key field. Relation, parent address. Okay, so it's been decided by the people in the chat that we are just going to put this back to the way we've been doing it elsewhere. I forget why we decided to do it this way. Maybe it was to avoid like null fields. So let's just, I think it's just like this. Let's actually just open up our venue user relation. Yeah. So let's do that. Venue relation event event relation, and make that nullable. Okay, cool. So save that. And then we are going to, what I'll do just for now is do results, just an empty list so that we don't have the errors here. That's fine, that's fine. Save everything. And let's run Serverpod generate again. Oh, look, we got an updated version. We could update our version of Serverpod if we wanted. Problem for another day. And then, yeah, where this, actually, I don't think this will require DB migration because I think like under the hood, it still uses this same sort of format. Let's just try though. So that's Serverpod create my, it's been like so long. Do I have a make file in here? No, not. Is it create dash migration? It is, yeah. Okay, so column venue ID of table post is modified to, yeah, so there's a change here. So we're going to, if we do a force, I think it's going to wipe our data, but that's fine. So let's just look at that migration file because we're kind of doing something funky here. It would be the last one, and if we look at, I think it's just this, migrations, like, post. Okay, alter post column venue ID set not null. I mean, that kind of that seems fine. Like, it's okay to go from not null to null. I mean, null to not null. Anyways, okay, so let's actually run the migrations. We do that just by starting the server, but doing apply migrations. Let's see if it kind of actually works. Oh, failed to apply migration. Yeah, it contains null values. Oh boy. Database is going to column venue ID of relation post contains null values. Okay, so what I opted in doing after fiddling for a bit is we are doing a relation, but we're passing optional in here, which is a new thing I didn't know about. So we can kind of do that. And the cool thing is I tried to then make a migration, but it was like no changes detected. And I suspect it's because on the database side, the way we had it before with like venue ID and event ID is actually how it is stored on the database. So I think we're good. I think we can work with this now. So let's just get our server running again and go back to where we were. So yeah, this is where we were trying to like include stuff. So what I want is the owner. See, now we actually have this, and we can actually go and take the public user. So it would be, can I just do it that way? Public user and pass in, maybe that's not the right thing. Hang on. It's user includes. Yeah, that's what we want. I think we just do that. So that allows us to get that venue, and we can just now use our venue include. And what's the other thing in here? Event include. And the event include just includes this stuff. So this was just kind of something I came up with on the fly of like a way, this like helper class that allows us just to put these in one spot so that, because what we were doing is we were writing the same kind of code in a lot of places. So this kind of way to define like anytime, at least like in standard practice when we're getting data, we want to do joins on these kinds of things so that we have that data back. That's why we were doing it that way. So now, instead of this, what do we want to do here? We want results to be our results. And then it looks like we're mapping through them. This might have been for that specific case. What did venue with public user do? Okay, I think I remember. Because user include gets actually the user info. We actually don't want to use this because I believe user info.include will give us like their email and all that kind of stuff. That's kind of like for private things. So what did we do? We did venue. Let's do this as well. Let's do post with public user, which expects a post to be put in, and it's going to return a post. And what we basically do is we take, this should be called post now, so I'll just change all these. What we do is we take whatever the post is, and if the post owner is not equal null, we take we replace it with a public user. Otherwise, we just have null. So that's what we're kind of doing over here. Is we want to use this, and we'll call this like u, and this just like protects it so that we're not serializing like private data back. Even if like the Flutter app's not displaying it, like if it's in your API, like smart people can see it. And we don't want to be sending the email back of someone. That's like super sketch. Okay, so we now have our list endpoint, I think, working. Now, because we didn't change the shape of this, what it returns or what it inputs, I don't think we have to run our generator. We don't have to run our generator again. So let's go to our post service and let's start to. Hopefully, we can just fly through this part now that we got that little annoying thing out of the way. So we have our save, and yeah, I like to essentially let's just go big for a bit. I want to just open up our venue list, our venue service. Because a lot of this stuff is the same. Like you're basically just like watching me copy and paste stuff. What this will return though is a post list, which is that lovely model that we had. For some reason that is not coming in, and it's because we just need to do our restart analysis server. So it kind of rereads all the code and the packages and stuff like that. And now we actually get access to this. That's one of many ways to do it. And it's simply because I am running this in a separate VS Code thing. Normally in Serverpod, the practice is like you just have the whole mono repo open and it will just automatically figure it out. But we need to kind of tell VS Code that. Okay, so now we go client.post.list, and everything else is basically the same. So there's our list. We might as well do our retrieve while we're at it. So let's just grab that. Retrieve, this will return not a post list, but a post. We're passing in an ID, venue, so we want to do post.retrieve. Oh, I just realized we don't actually even have that yet. So yeah, let's make that real quick. There's our list endpoint. Let's go to our venue endpoint. The retrieve is a lot simpler. And here we want to use include.post. Post with public use. No, you're just going to use post include. And then, so we try and get it. And then if the venue is not null, we do post with public user and pass in, this shouldn't be called venue. This also should be post. So we'll rename this to post. Okay, now we have retrieve. So we will run our generator again. Serverpod generate is the way to do it. And start our server again. Okay, so we should have that retrieve code, but similarly, we need to run our analysis server, restart again. I'm not going to worry about the pub yet. We can do that at some point. But okay, so now we're retrieving. So we have that in our service. Yay. It's kind of still doing stuff. I can't save. It'll let me save in a minute. Yay. Okay, cool. Let's just close a bunch of stuff. It always feels good when you're overwhelmed. Just do Command K, W, closes all your things. And that's something I like about, organizing your files well, because now it's still easy for us to go and be like, I just want to open the things I need again. So let's get our service open again. Cool. And let's look at our provider. We have, that's just the provider for that. So what do we want? Let's do our list. So let's have our post list provider .dart. And similarly, venue list provider. Yeah, I just wanted to remember something here. Yeah, okay, cool. Paging status, yeah. Okay, so like all good developers, copy and paste. So we're going to change this to say post list provider. We're going to change venue list to say post list. All this other stuff looks good here. That's fine. Now what we want to do is use our post list service or post service. Wait, yeah, post service provider. We're not going to search. Wait, yeah, we're not searching. We're just listing. And we'll just pass in the page. Where's that query coming from? Where's that even? Where's query coming from? The heck was it? Oh, there it is. Build. Yeah, this is not in that. This is just a list provider. We're not doing searching on post, at least not now. So we just do normal build. We do this list. We pass in the page. Cool. All right, now we'll just search this for the word venue. Yep, there's one that we missed. I want this to be post. Venue. Okay, it's nice to do that after copy and paste. But yeah, we're cool. All right, so we have some issues. Obviously, we need to run our gen. So I'm going to do, just in case we made a mistake, gen watch. Is that what it is? Yeah. So I'm using a make file. Makes me not have to remember commands. But if we go here, gen watch is just going to run the build runner with watch. There it is, with deleting of conflicting inputs. So we'll let that go. And then hopefully this works for us. Okay, so generator finished. We have our post list provider. Awesome. So that's a good start. Now we need our component. So we're actually going to have a post list component .dart. And let's look at our venue list component. That's going to be pretty similar. This I'll do. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to type this one out just because it's kind of similar, but not. So we'll just do a stateless consumer, and we'll call it venue list component. Something that's coming in Serverpod 3 is when you do those helper things, it will automatically import consumer widget for you. I saw that, which is, nice. That'd be nice. Okay, so we have our widget ref, we have whatever. We're We don't need the search. We don't need this. All we really need is our infinite list component. And we need our paging controller. So we just basically go final. How do we do it over here? Just to keep it. Yeah, paging controller equals, we need the provider. So let's do that first. Final provider equals ref.read the post list provider dot notifier. So that's our provider, and then our paging controller is simply just the provider dot whatever. And I think the reason I broke this up is because, did we need this in 2 spots, paging controller? No, we didn't. It's weird that I'm doing it that way. Whatever, we'll do it. Dot paging controller. We might refactor that in a moment. So our infinite scroll. Let me just put on word wrap here, just so I can at least do this. And then we'll turn off word wrap. So we have our paging controller. I don't think we need the key because that was when you were changing searches. But what do we need? We need a handle refresh. Infinite. Oh, handle refresh is already here. Okay, let's grab that. So for this, we just do provider.refresh. We just pass reference to the function. No items found. We'll just say no posts found. Okay, then we have our item builder. So item builder is going to get type context. It's going to get a post, and it's going to have an index, which is the list of what we're in, or the index we're in. And knows it's a post. How does it know it's a post? We didn't even do this. I thought we had to decorate it like this. But it figured it out somehow. Okay, and here we want to return, let's just return like text, post dot body, no body. Okay, so there's our post list component. And what I wanted to, I kind of wanted to just do this. No need to have this variable. Same with here. We can basically just take our provider dot paging controller and put it here. Yay. Just one less line. Am I right? Okay, so now let's actually go to our post root screen. And what were we returning here? We don't even have a body, do we? Child. That's the floating action button. Okay, body. All right. Let's get our, let's rename this. I even typed this out and I still friggin' made it the wrong thing. Post this component. Yep, we will import it. And it can be a const. We're not passing anything into it, at least yet. Okay, let's find out what happens. Look at this. This is my body. This is my body. Amazing. So it's working. We're getting data back. So now what we want to do is actually kind of make our list tile. So we'll kind of use this as a bit of a reference. So let's make our, what do we call them? Yeah, post list tile component. Start. And this will be a stateless widget. And I think just to stateless widget, we don't necessarily need a consumer in here, so we won't. We'll change it if we have to. Post list tile component. And this is going to return, of course, a list tile. Now what we do need to pass into here is a post. And are we doing it? Yeah, that way. So required this dot post. So here we have a title. Now let's think about this for a second. I'm just kind of maybe thinking like maybe this is a good time to actually not make this a list tile. Maybe instead this is just a postcard. So I'm just going to do rename symbol, even though we're only using it in one place right now. Because really, like, if this is like a social feed, because I forgot what we're actually doing, I'm just like trying to do stuff. Really, it should kind of be something like, we have a card and it has like a column in it, and it has, child of a column, like basically like an Instagram post, right? So, and let's just put children here. Let's just do text, and we'll do post.body just to do that, and no body, and we'll come back to that. So now we have our postcard, and we basically go to our post list. Instead of doing text, we just do postcard, which we need to import, and we just pass in the post as post. Look at that, post to post. Everything's just named. It looks great. Let's save all that, and let's actually rename this file to just postcard. Just figured, like, even though we're probably gonna do the same with like venues and stuff, like there's no need for them necessarily to be, like this. They might be like a bigger image, but like let's start that with the post and figure it out. Okay, so we at least have that coming back. Before we get into actually designing this properly, let's make it just a little bit prettier. Put a little bit of padding around it. Cool. Oh, wait, why didn't that? Why is that padding not? What's happening? What's happening here? There we go. I don't know why the hot reload didn't work there, but let's put some padding around it. Cool. And let's wrap this in inkwell on tap. Because let's actually get our detail provider working and our detail screen. Do we even need a detail screen? I mean, I guess if we want to show comments and stuff, yeah, we might as well have the whole pattern here. So let's make a screen. Post detail screen. And I'll just go to like event detail screen just to remember what we're doing here. So it's a scaffold, it's whatever. Okay. So we need a provider, first of all. We need our post detail provider .dart. And let's just go venue detail provider. We're still running our generator, which is nice. So let's do that. We'll call this post detail. This will return a post that could be nullable. We just call this post detail ref, and we need to call this post. Then we read our post service provider, retrieve ID. Cool. Technically calling this venue here will still work, but let's rename it to post so people don't get confused. Get rid of a file, save this. Now we have our detail provider, just like that. Boom. Okay, cool. And yeah, that should work. So now let's go to our event detail screen, and we're going to make a consumer widget. We'll call it post detail screen. And of course, import our two things. We need that, and we need material. So this, just as a reminder, we want to make sure that detail screens, we're never passing through an entire like object to them. Because if we pass a whole object through and then we want to like reload that page, like for instance, coming from it from a permalink, like a web link or a deep link, you know, in your app, it won't work. So the idea is that any dynamic data needs to be something that can be stored essentially in a URL or in a deep link. And that's why, although we have access to it here, you know, we're about to do a redirect to the screen, right? We could be like, oh, just open this screen and pass in the whole post. But no, we're just going to pass the ID in so that it can work with it. So we need this to be required, this.id. Now what we do, and this is just a nice little pattern, is we create a route on this, int id, and what we want to reflect is the post namespace. Is it called post routes dot namespace slash. Just remember how we do this. We take that ID that we're passing in here, but if it's null, we just put the placeholder ID. I've explained this a few times. I think this is like one of the smartest things in this app, or just how I like to work with Go Router. But I'll explain it again when everything's in place, just to like hit it home why we're doing this. But it's pretty cool. It kind of solves two things in one spot and keeps our code really dry. Okay, here, what do we need? We need a provider, or we need our data itself. So we'll do ref.watch, and we're going to watch our post detail provider, passing in the ID that this screen has. Now, data is an async value of maybe post. So we want to, essentially, we're going to have a scaffold, and it's going to have an app bar. Oh, and then what do we do here? I'm just going to follow the same pattern here. So basically when data.when, so there's three cases. We might have data, yay, and we'll call this post when we do have data, and we'll do something with that. We might have an error, and the error, the first parameter is the error, the x is the stack trace. We're never going to show our user the stack trace, so we'll just make it underscore. And loading doesn't have any parameters, and when it's loading, we kind of just want like an empty app bar. We don't want a loading spinner. We could put a loading spinner in the app bar, but I think that's overkill because we're going to have a loading spinner somewhere else. Now, if there's an error, here we still want to return an app bar. And the reason we want to have the app bar is so stuff doesn't just like resize when it loads, but also so that you have a back button, whether there's an error loading or not. And the title here will just be text error. And we can, again, just have the word error because we're going to be handling in the body, showing the real error. Then what do we have? We have a post. So first of all, we need to check if post equals null, because it could be null. That's a valid response. And here we'll just kind of do the same thing here. Otherwise, this is where we'll return an app bar. and we can make its title text, and we can actually, you know, have something. I can just write the word post, because there's not really like, the problem with post is, I guess we could have like the owner's name. Maybe we'll do that. So let's just try do post dot owner dot dot name, username. Do we have that? Wait, where do you get the username? Post dot owner dot bio links pronouns. I guess it's on the user info dot username. Are we like, let's just look at the profile screen. Is that where we're getting profile component username? Oh, I see. So we're like, I don't know if we're handling this on other users yet. You know what? We're going to come back to this. I'm just going to make it say post. Look at that. Cool. Loading, we'll just have the empty app bar. Awesome. Then for the body of this, we're going to do kind of a similar thing. Let's just close that. So it'll be the same sort of dude, data.when, data. So data will again be a post, and we'll do something with it. Error. So if we have an error, I'll just return center child text of the error itself. What? Oh, because it's an object. Error.toString. And then loading, this is where we just have a centered, we have a, yeah, what is it, just called loader? Loading component. Yeah, we'll just have that. And the loading component is just our very basic loader. I like this because this is just basic and simple, but we can change this. You know, in the future, we want a custom loader, we just do it in one spot instead of like doing it everywhere. So I always think about that. You know, you always want to, like, when you're writing code and building a big project, like, think about your future self. Be like, if that had changed, if the client needed that to change, like, would that be a huge pain in the ass because I'd have to change it in 25 spots? If the answer is yes, you know, it's a good time to refactor early. Okay, so here I'm just going to temporarily return text of the post. Oh, we also need to handle post could be null. Return text, and we'll just have not found. That's generally going to be the issue if it's null. And we'll wrap this in a center. Otherwise, text post dot body. Again, this will change, but we're just kind of getting the, you know, the logic and everything in place. Okay, so now we have a detail screen. We have to go to our routes. So we want to go to our post routes, and we specifically, and I'll put venue routes as an example because it's going to be the exact same thing. We're going to grab this. Actually, I'll type it out. So we're going to have another go route, and its path is going to be the post detail screen dot route. So here we have route. Cool. Then the builder, we're going to have context and state. This is where the magic is going to happen. So here we want to use our post detail screen. And specifically, we need to pass in an ID. Where do we get the ID from? Well, we get it by taking our state.path parameters ID, which is going to be part of the URL. Otherwise, we'll just fall back to blank. And this needs to be an int. So we're going to do int.parse, but not int. I never really use int.parse, very rarely. I used to do int.tryParse because then it won't throw an exception if something goes wrong. It'll just become null. So we're going to try and parse that. Okay, where do I might have missed where, oh, sorry, this closing thing needs to be here. And then we need to fall back to 0 if that. So it'll be like, it's going to try and find an ID, and it will, if for some reason something goes wrong, it'll at least be an integer. It'll send back 0. And other stuff will break, but it won't crash the app. It'll just be like not found because nothing's going to have an ID of 0. All right, so there's our post detail screen. Now we have that. Let's just get a comma somewhere in here. It's looking real bad. Maybe even here. Will that look good? That looks better. Fun fact: I'm normally coding like a little more like this, but I know on YouTube, you know, we want you guys to see it, and I am just streaming in 1080p for multiple reasons. So I need to make it big for you. Okay, so we have our venue detail screen. Yay! Our post detail screen rather. How do we actually navigate to it? Well, we'll go to our postcard, and here we just do, I think it's just what, context dot, let's just look at our like venue list tile, because it's going to be the same thing. Well, look at this. Venue list title component. That is a typo. Let's figure out that fix now. Reveal and explore. Rename. Look at that. Biggest change of the day. Biggest refactor. Oops, I still want to have this open though. So yeah, context.push. And we want to take our post detail screen. And but we don't want to, we don't want to use the screen. We want to actually pass the route. And here we're going to pass in post.id. Then we need to import GoRouter to get this. This is just an extension on context, so we need to do that. Okay, so let's just see if this works. I'm just going to do a full rebuild. And let's try clicking on this post. Look, we're going to it. In theory, this is working. I mean, they both have the same thing in it. Why don't we test one other thing? Let's go to our post root screen, and let's actually make a new one called my body. This is my body. I'm going to rebuild. I didn't have to rebuild for that actually. So let's go to feed. Let's go and click the add button. It's not. We don't have anything with state happening with like creating it because it's kind of just a hack. But if I rebuild now, we should have a third one. Yeah, this is my body. There it is. So we are going to different ones. Cool. Post. All right, we got that in place. Before I wrap up this video, I do want to explain again, because I think this pattern is cool, of how this sort of works. And specifically like the way we're kind of doing this route thing. So let's go to the post detail screen again. So again, we have this static thing on route. Static meaning we can access it without an instance of post detail screen, but just the class itself. So in our let's go to our postcard. So we're context.pushing, and context.push is expecting a string, essentially, to be passed in, the location. We're not actually passing an object. We are passing in just a string. And that's the URL. Like, it's basically the URL. And what is this URL? Well, it's the post routes namespace, which is really just a URL, basically /feed. And we're taking that and we're concatenating it. We're putting like a slash for this URL. And then we are either doing null ID or ID. Now, GoRouter is expecting when you construct the route, when you're basically saying, hey, here's the pattern for my routes, it's actually expecting a placeholder with like a number, with a variable. So it's like this little colon and then this. So you'll notice when we're configuring the route, we're not passing anything in. We could just pass a number in, but then it would actually use it. So it's like falling back to this, which is just a helpful way that we can, have this. We're using ID here because that is what is going to become the variable in our state parameters when we want to map this back together, which we have to do. And then what's cool is in postcard, we are passing something through. So what's happening? Well, when we call this route, it's not doing this ID thing. It's literally taking the ID we're passing in. So it's making the path, something /1/2. So yeah, just a nice little reusable thing that we can essentially say we decided, no, we want to call this we want the URL for this to be like this. Change it in one spot, both our router will understand it, and everywhere that's using this static class to actually push to, like the postcard and various other places potentially, will get it. So that's just the one little extra thing I wanted to share. I think it's cool. All right. So yeah, we have like the main stuff here. Next, we're gonna make this card look better. We're gonna make probably the detail screen look better. Maybe, although we might also make the form next, like the ability to actually create one properly, because I want to allow images being uploaded and stuff, so we can actually have big images, because that's going to be an important thing. Like people who post, maybe they're writing more like a tweet, but we kind of want to have an image. So maybe we'll do that first, and then we'll get get it designed. I think that's the way to go, so we can create a few different variants. Because I want this kind of be cool where it's like a post can just be text, in which case, what does it look like? It can just be an image, in which case, it's going to look a little bit different, obviously. It can also be both. So do we put the image and then the text under? Probably. Those are the kinds of things we're going to figure out, as well as eventually commenting and stuff. So yeah, we'll finish right there for this one, and see you guys in the next one.